They say that history is the greatest of all teachers, and that tales of past deeds define who we are in the present, and what we shall be in the future. It is said that such tales shall, with each telling, illuminate us all with the light of truth.
What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, and today we are talking a little bit about Icewind Dale and a little bit of a comparison between my memories of the game when I played it more than a decade ago now, as well as the Enhanced Edition changes. Now, we are going to make a couple of comparisons genuinely just from my memory versus the Enhanced Edition, and then I'm also going to just explain some things about Icewind Dale in general. For starters, if you're unaware, only Icewind Dale 1, the original one, got the Enhanced Edition treatment from Beamdog, who did all of the Enhanced Editions for these old Infinity Engine games. Icewind Dale 2 was unrecoverable, basically. So if you haven't heard the story, Icewind Dale 2 was mysteriously lost. That is to say, the source code and the tools used to actually build the game. Companies usually keep archives of older games for that type of thing, or the tools they used, and Wizards of the Coast just does not have the source code for Icewind Dale 2. And while it would technically be possible to pick the game itself apart, because you can still buy Icewind Dale 2 on GOG, or GOG if you prefer, that's not exactly the same as the developer's tools used to make it. And basically, Beamdog has expressed that the cost to make an Enhanced Edition of Icewind Dale 2 would likely not be recoverable from its sales, so they just have chosen not to do it, which, fair enough. However, what you may or may not know, depending on how closely you follow this stuff, is that Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition is, on a coding level, much different than the original, because while they were able to recover most of the source code and assets for Icewind Dale, they actually wound up scrapping most of it and reusing the engine and stuff that they made for Baldur's Gate 2. So a lot of the initial code and stuff for the first Icewind Dale was just flat out replaced. So just by the very nature of that Icewind Dale, while still a very faithful remaster, so to speak, of the original game or Enhanced Edition, does feel a little different just in general. In terms of actual changes that I personally noticed, obviously there's the graphical stuff. Clearly it doesn't look quite as dated. I'm actually playing it on a 4K monitor, so there's that type of stuff. But I would say the single biggest thing that stood out to me personally was some of the restored content, as well as content added from a popular mod, I believe, that added a few of the quests to the game. And while I had played Icewind Dale, a couple of these quests, I was like, I definitely do not remember this at all, and had to look up where exactly it came from. A few of them were, again, restored content from things that were cut, and then one or two of them was like a popular mod. Now, in Icewind Dale, stuff like extra quests is especially noticeable because Icewind Dale is very combat heavy. So whereas Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and other games like Planescape Torment, etc., it's a very story-focused RPG where you're doing stuff, making decisions, etc., Icewind Dale is all about the combat. The entire game is just dungeon crawls, where the plot is primarily used to just direct you from location to location. And because of that, the quests and things that were added were definitely a standout, because again, there just wasn't a lot of that stuff. And then the other big thing is, of course, the class kits and stuff that were also added in, which are like subclasses, etc., but for the second edition of D&D, which is what Icewind Dale uses. So I believe the exact number of classes and things that were added was 31, I believe, including the class kits. But that said, all of the Enhanced Editions kind of normalized all of that stuff, so because of that, you kind of see the same ones in Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, and then Icewind Dale, etc. And because I had played the Baldur's Gate series previously, I noticed less of those new classes than I probably would have remembered way back when, because it's been 10 plus years. But some of the stuff is definitely noticeable in that regard. So comparison stuff a little bit out of the way here. I did want to also mention a couple of things that just playing Icewind Dale again really reminded me of. That is to say, I played the game and I was like, oh right, this was a thing. First and foremost, the narrator for Icewind Dale is an important part of the story, and especially compared to the narration of events in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which you can actually see in my story videos if you like. The narrator of Icewind Dale just has a very different style to it that's hard to explain without also spoiling a little bit, which isn't the purpose of this video. But the second I started up the game and I heard that narrator, just a wave of nostalgia right there, which was fun for me, because it's weird how your brain is like, I remember that exact sound. And then the other thing I remembered, and this isn't a huge shock, but Icewind Dale, in order to kind of compensate for some of the lack of story elements and choices and things like that, is that they added a bunch of class-specific dialogue. So if the top member of your party is a bard or something, you can talk to people who might ask you to sing a song, or you might have bard-relevant conversation options pop up. If you're a paladin, you might have like fighting against evil options pop up, that type of stuff. So I had forgotten a lot about the class dialogue. And that's kind of fun to see a game react to the class that you picked, or at least that the person who is talking. Because in Icewind Dale, you don't actually play as any set person. You make a group of 6 adventurers or use the pre-generated characters. But there you go, guys. Just kind of a bit of a trip down memory lane for me with Icewind Dale, which I am currently in the process of reviewing. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, by all means, like, comment, subscribe. Maybe tell me about your memories with Icewind Dale down in the comment section below. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.